Contrast that, if you will, what goes on in Washington, where the political process has been captured. The Republicans on the far right and the Democrats on the far left. When I came to the United States Senate initially, the Wednesday Lunch Club had many senators. We had John Chafee from Rhode Island, Bob Stafford from Vermont, Mac Mathias from Maryland, Mark Hatfield and Bob Packwood from Oregon, Jack Danforth from Missouri, Billy Cohn from Maine, and my colleague John Hines. And now the moderates can meet in a telephone booth. And there were moderate Republicans as well, Scoop Jackson. Today, a superb senator like Joe Lieberman can't even win a Democratic primary because the voters are so far to the left that they reject his moderation. My former colleague, Senator Rex Santorum, did not receive sufficient credit for his work on AIDS and helping the poor in Africa and the underprivileged with faith-based initiatives. The result of this polarization is that on most issues which come before the United States Senate, you know how 90 senators are going to vote in advance, and that there are only a few in the center who are willing to analyze the facts, consider public policy, and make independent judgments on what they consider to be in the public welfare, as opposed to catering to the extremes of either party. And you see that today. 12 of the 13 appropriation bills are unfunded. There is dispute and rancor over what's to be done about Iraq. S-chip, children's health care, may lapse because of a fight between the Congress and the President. This week, Senator Harry Reid of Nevada, the Democrat who is the majority leader, chastised President Bush and said that there were 49 puppets in the United States Senate following him. If he'd said 48, he might have gotten away with it. I went to the Senate floor and said that at a time when we're trying to bring people together, trying to have a reconciliation, trying to solve the problems of the world, that was no way for the majority leader to act, and that he had violated Rule 19, which prohibits... It's okay, I don't mind being interrupted for applause. Rule 19, which prohibits one senator from speaking ill of another senator. And there are ways, if you work at it, where you can bring people together. Senator Tom Harkin, Democrat of Iowa, and I have worked collaboratively on the Appropriations Subcommittee for Health and have led the way to increasing NIH funding from $12 to $30 billion with enormous advances, working toward the cures of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and cancer and heart disease. And Joe Biden and I, Democrat of Delaware, have worked collaboratively on the Second Chance Act and very important legislation to protect women against violence. And Pat Leahy and I, Democrat of Vermont, have worked smoothly on dignified Supreme Court proceedings, so that it is possible to do. And I've worked very collaboratively with my colleague, Senator Bob Casey, Jr. First day in town, I bought Bob lunch. Told him there was no such thing as a free lunch, and he's found that out. We talked about the hot-button issues, and then our staffs have worked collaboratively ever since. And the relationship I've had with Governor Rendell has been one of bipartisan cooperation for decades. As Ed spoke earlier about my hiring him, he was an intern, and then he's hired right out of law school, did extraordinary work as an assistant DA, chief of the homicide division, became famous so he could set the foundation for the rest of his successes. At the end of my tenure as district attorney, it so happened Ed and I were going down the elevator together, You see, there's a corroborating witness. He's nodding yes. We were going down the elevator, and I said, Ed, what are you going to do when you leave the DA's office? And he said, Arlen, I'm going to practice law, and I want to go into politics. And I said, well, if you want to go into politics, Ed, I'd be glad to introduce you to Billy Meehan, the Republican leader. And he looked at me a little sheepish, and he said, thanks, but no thanks, I'm a Democrat. Well, I hadn't known what his registration was, and I hadn't cared. And in the intervening years, we have worked collaboratively on many, many items for the benefit of the people of our state. Shifting now to that applause is for you, Ed, and thanks for those nice things you said about me. It's with some pride that I note that next year Justice Ron Castile will be Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. A distinguished alum from my DA's office. Of course, Ed's the governor. So the two of the three branches of Pennsylvania government are alums from the old DA's office. But we do not yet, but the Alumni Society does not yet control the legislature, so the Commonwealth is still safe for a while. Shifting now to foreign relations, there are opportunities to make progress with the many threats which the country faces around the world. And 10 days ago at Annapolis and Washington, there was a very important conference. And before coming to the conference, the foreign minister of Saudi Arabia made a pronouncement. He said he would not shake hands with the Israeli Prime Minister Olmert. So I called up the Saudi ambassador to the United States, and I asked him to come to see me. And I said to him, if your foreign minister doesn't want to shake hands with the Israeli prime minister, I think he's wrong, but why doesn't he do it with a little subtlety and a little diplomacy? He might be in another part of the room, or he might be sideways, but why does he have to make a pronouncement to tell the world that there's animosity and hatred and vitriol and they won't get anything done? And then I said to the Saudi ambassador, I'm going to tell you a true story.